Welcome everyone, so glad you're joining us for today's Explainer. Today we're diving into what I like to call the ultimate masterclass in compassion. I want you to imagine for a second that there's this ultimate spiritual MRI, like a master cosmic physician who knows exactly what medicine your mind needs before you even say a single word. That's exactly the concept we are unpacking today. We're looking at an ancient Mahayana Buddhist philosophy, specifically from a text traditionally attributed to the great philosopher Nagarjuna, and we are going to explore the Bodhisattva's pure Dharma eye. Now, as we know, a bodhisattva is a being entirely dedicated to achieving complete enlightenment, but not just for themselves, right? It's to help all other sentient beings achieve it too. And this pure Dharma eye, well, it is the absolute ultimate lens of compassion and wisdom that they use to pull that off.
So, we've got a really great roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start by defining what this pure Dharma eye actually is, then we'll look at how these enlightened beings judge our different spiritual capacities. After that, we'll explore how they use the three doors of liberation, look at their incredible skillful means, and wrap up with what all of this says about the true pinnacle of wisdom.
All right, let's jump right into part one. What exactly is the pure Dharma eye? Because it's all about moving way beyond our everyday, ordinary perception.
To really get this, you have to understand that a bodhisattva's perception goes through what is basically a series of massive upgrades. It all starts with the physical eye. With this, a bodhisattva looks out and sees the ordinary suffering of beings in the world. You know, the immediate pain, the daily hardships, and they feel this immense, deep empathy. But that's just scratching the surface. Through intense meditation, they upgrade to the heavenly eye, which unlocks this vast, interconnected view of karmic suffering across all different realms of existence. It's overwhelming. Seeing all of that, they then develop the wisdom eye to figure out the ultimate nature of reality so they can save everyone. But here's the catch. Even the wisdom eye isn't the final tool. To truly, actually lead beings into the ultimate truth, they absolutely must develop the fourth stage, the Dharma eye. That is the profound wisdom required to stop just observing and start actively guiding beings out of their suffering.
So getting right down to the definition, the pure Dharma eye is definitely not about passively watching the universe roll by. It's a highly active diagnostic tool. The ancient texts reveal that the meaning of the Dharma eye is this flawless, wisdom-driven discernment. It's the exact ability to look at any sentient being and completely understand their unique mind, their past, and their specific spiritual capacity. In other words, it's how a bodhisattva knows precisely which method is going to successfully guide that specific individual into the ultimate truth. It is literally targeted, discerning empathy at its finest.
That brings us nicely into Section 2, Judging Beings' Capacities, or what we can think of as the Bodhisattva's Diagnostic Toolkit. How do they actually read us? Well, using that pure Dharma eye, they immediately recognize how a person processes the world. They essentially divide us into two main cognitive styles. On one side, you have the faith followers. Now, the text refers to these folks as having dull roots, but wait, do not take that as a cosmic insult. Seriously, it just means that their initial entry into the spiritual path relies heavily on faith, belief, and trust. On the other side of the coin, we have the logic followers, who are described as having sharp roots. These are the people who need to rely on rigorous analysis, logic, and basically dissecting the teachings to achieve realization. By diagnosing which of these learning styles someone naturally uses, the bodhisattva instantly knows the absolute best foundational approach to take.
Okay, so once they've made that diagnosis, what happens next? Let's move into part 3, the three doors of liberation, which is all about tailoring the ultimate lesson.
This part is so fascinating because the ancient text maps human personality traits directly to corresponding methods of liberation with just incredible precision. It's like a cosmic personality test. The Bodhisattva looks at a person's eternal habits. If you're someone who is naturally straightforward and has this deep, burning desire for ultimate truth, the Bodhisattva is going to guide you through the door of emptiness, showing you that all things lack independent existence. Now, what if you're someone who naturally loves letting go and just embracing detachment? They'll guide you through the door of aimlessness or non-action, helping you realize there is nothing to cling to or strive for. And finally, if you spent lifetimes seeking profound peace and stillness, you're guided through the door of signlessness, which moves beyond all external appearances. They perfectly match the psychology to the philosophy.
And that brings us to the absolute core of the Bodhisattva's method. This is the big takeaway. True spiritual teaching is never one size fits all. Think about it. Giving the right teaching to the wrong person is, well, ineffective at best and wildly confusing at worst. True compassion requires the profound wisdom to know exactly how a specific person needs to be helped. It's about the flawless alignment of the method directly to the individual mind.
Which leads us to Section 4, the Bodhisattva's skillful means. This is all about how they meet beings exactly where they are.
Because to perfectly align with a student, you have to speak their language, right? You have to exist in their world. Through what the text calls skillful means and convenient power, bodhisattvas don't just sit up on some distant cloud delivering boring lectures. No way. They go undercover. They manifest right in the thick of society. They might intentionally be born as a royal or a warrior, or maybe in the priestly class, or even just as a wealthy householder. They even manifest as celestial beings, from the lower heavenly realms all the way up to the highest heavens. This radical adaptability is literally their wisdom in action. It allows them to build trust, relate to beings directly, and teach them in a context they already understand and respect.
There's this incredibly profound insight from Nagarjuna's commentary that emphasizes the heavy emotional weight of this vow. It points out that bodhisattvas use their immense spiritual power, their faith, and their relentless diligence, not to escape the world. Actually, scratch that, it's the exact opposite. They use it to purposefully take on a vulnerable physical body. They willingly re-enter the messy cycle of life and form for the sole sake of saving us. They never abandon us. They join us, using that pure Dharma eye to guide us from the inside out.
And finally, we arrive at Section 5, the pinnacle of compassion and wisdom.
Ultimately, the Bodhisattva's pure Dharma eye shows us a really profound truth. Compassion without wisdom is blind, and wisdom without compassion is cold. They absolutely must work together. Ultimate compassion requires a flawless, discerning understanding of who the other person truly is, what they believe, and exactly how their mind works. So I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to chew on today. How can you apply even a tiny fraction of this discerning empathy in your own life? Instead of just offering the advice you would want to hear, how can you better understand the unique capacities of the people you care about so you can be a truly effective guide and support for them? It's a huge question. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep seeking that clarity.